I love this game. All these years later, it's still enjoyable, having come out way back in 2011. Let us drop into the apocalyptic wasteland and take a closer look at Fallout New Vegas without having to worry about major story spoilers.
Sorry you got twisted up in this scene. From where you're kneeling must seem like an 18-carat run of bad luck. Truth is, the game was rigged from the start.
Let us set the stage. Back in 2008, Fallout 3 was a big success, and Bethesda wanted to get out another Fallout game to follow it, but they were occupied with the development of Skyrim at the time. So they hired a company called Obsidian Entertainment to make the next game, which would take place out west, rather than continue in the east, like its predecessor. And they did it in a matter of an 18-month window. That is crazy. To give you context, Fallout 3 took 4 years. So for this company to have only 18 months to make a game following a mega hit?
No pressure.
I'm not going to give you a long drawn-out history of Fallout New Vegas, as you are here for a review, not an entire history lesson. But long story short, it's considered probably the best Fallout game in the series by a great deal of people, including myself. But why is that? Well, this is where the review actually begins. Fallout New Vegas takes place in the year 2281, and it's a few years after the events of Fallout 3 and a little more than 200 years after the Great War of 2077, when everything went nuclear, leading to the collapse of society. You play as a courier who has been shot and your valuable package taken. From there, you set out to seek answers. We begin our journey in Good Springs, a small, nothing too special town. Here you start with your typical RPG elements, customizing your character and picking stats which make you special. Personally, you can't go wrong with prioritizing the charisma section because speech can come in clutch a lot in this game when encountering skill checks and just accomplishing things without getting physical. Of course, don't put all your points in one section, space them out a little. You'll sit down with the good doctor and answer a few questions, then pick your beginning traits. Here is where I'll recommend the Wild Wasteland trait, because there is no way to get it later in the game. I won't go into details of why you should, but let me just say, take a closer look at the graphic of this trait. When the doc finishes patching you up, it's your call from here, as it doesn't take very long for the game to turn you loose. The world is your oyster, with there being over 180 locations out there for you to discover. This is one of the reasons this game excels. The world is massive and unique, having many places to explore and see, like Jacobstown, a town full of super mutants. Freeside, which is home of the kings and the king himself. Novak, having a massive T-Rex in front of the town. And so many others I won't dip into, as it's the beauty of the game, letting you discover the world for yourself. Immersing yourself in the world and enjoying the unique radio channels is spectacular. No idea how they arrived at, hey, let's pick old 40s and 50s music for this kind of game. But it works really well together. Sadly, I can't give you any examples due to copyright stuff, but it's chill music that turns out to be a nice fusion, helping with the atmosphere and mood of the game. When adventuring the Vegas Wasteland, you will encounter different factions on your journey. Some small players, like the Great Khans, the Kings, Powder Gangers, the Boomers, and more. There will also be a few big players that will affect how the story can go, depending on who you side with and assist or destroy. The NCR, better known as the New California Republic, they're the representation of democracy and have the military supposedly there for the everyday person. Mr. House, the wealthy mystery man who runs the strip, having his Securitrons keep the strip securely under control. Caesar's Legion, a man bringing back the old Roman ways. There is technically a door number 4, but where's the fun in telling you about that? It's part of the mystery of the story for you to figure out. There is a lot of great options you can side with and choose to do. Everything does have consequences, however. Depending how you treat a faction, it will affect your rep with them, where this little graph will show you how you can be viewed and how those groups will treat you. So choose wisely, but obviously have fun with it. Aside from the main quest being about you seeking answers of why you were shot, there is an abundance of side quests out there. Some to do with the factions I mentioned, but tons just from walking up to NPCs and talking to them. The world is full of weird, creepy, and mind-blowing stories to discover, where it's easy to bury a lot of time into this game. I've played this game countless times, dating back to when it came out on the Xbox 360 to now on my PC. And I'm still learning and finding new stories to do. Such a great thing to experience, coming back all these years later, finding new things for the first time.
Ooh, a piece of candy.
By now, you gotta be wondering about the combat. How is it? Combat in Fallout New Vegas, I admit, it's nothing special. I didn't say it was awful, but it's not the best either. It's okay. If you played Fallout 3, it's basically the same, where the VAT system is back, letting you pinpoint where you want to shoot your foe with freeze frame action. Or if you decide to fight an enemy straight on, you can do that too. If you choose to shoot at enemies without the VAT system, it can be a bit awkward. The player has a good variety of weapons to choose from, ranging from melee, normal guns, energy weapons, and sometimes it's fun to carry the really big explosive weaponry around too. Shoot! I almost forgot. In the beginning, I briefly touched on traits and investing your beginning skill points. Let me elaborate a little more on skills. That's my bad for keeping those who have been wondering on that in suspense. There are 13 skills for you to invest your points into. Each time you level up, you will get so many points to invest. For every 2 levels earned, you can pick a perk. The options of your perks will depend on what kind of skill levels you have in the different categories. I tend to prioritize a high speech and favor medicine too for healing purposes. Then typically pick one form of combat to level up a bit too, so I'm not a wuss in the wasteland, constantly getting my ass kicked in combat. Then I sprinkle in the points throughout the others after I max those out. For those wondering, the max level in the base game, it is 30. But with DLCs, it's slightly increased. If you own all of them, you can go as high as level 50. There is a lot of great, unique, fun perks in this game, with there being over 80 of them to choose from. It does lead to some fun but tough choices and some interesting builds on your character. Alright, back on track now. For those who want to spice up their RPG experience and feel like,
I've done this before and I need that extra thing.
If you want to give yourself a challenge, Fallout New Vegas does offer you a hardcore mode. They don't even recommend it, as it proves to be very challenging. The health system is different, being more realistic. If you break bones and don't have the right items to mend them, or a doctor nearby, you could be screwed. Gotta be careful on what you eat and drink, watching your radiation levels. Sleeping is vital. Ammo does count towards the amount of weight you can carry. If you are just wanting a chill experience where you can kick back and play the story, this won't be your mode. However, for those hardcore challenge-seeking gamers, this might intrigue you, especially if you are an achievement or trophy hunter. There is one for beating the game in this mode. Who knows? Maybe I'll have to give it a go one day, just for the bragging rights of saying I did it. I did my playthrough on PC, and I unfortunately encountered quite a bit of bugs and a few crashes on my playthrough. For such a short production time for this game, it was expected and does come with bugs, but it's great.
It could be worse.
The game is buggy, but the storytelling and world building is so good that you really don't mind. From the creative character builds people could do, the different approaches you can take on stories. This game presents you with choices, and it's ultimately up to you how the story and the world will turn out. Your choices matter. You have the freedom to make your own choices, and no restrictions will stop you. Heck, if you wanted to, you could kill off a main character. You could, but some story missions could come to a halt, so there is that slight trade-off. I love that there is so much replayability with this game. I love games that give you a new story on future playthroughs, where the next time you may experience or do something leading to a whole new discovery. That is why, despite all the bugs and the older, sort of rough-looking graphics compared to games in this current day and age, I think Fallout New Vegas is worth giving a chance, especially if you call yourself a fan of RPGs. Personally, New Vegas is one of my favorite games of all time.
It is a masterpiece.
If you got all the way to the end, I greatly appreciate your time and patience of hanging in there with me. It does mean a lot. Thank you for watching this review. Please drop a like and consider subscribing if you haven't already. If you want to see other Fallout content, make sure to check out the shorts section on the channel. I did a few shorts on New Vegas, and also, if you want to learn more about Fallout 3, I covered that a few years ago. I'll link it below for you. But most importantly, remember to take care of yourself. Have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next video.